All right, good morning, sixth graders. It is now Wednesday, April 29th, and we're going to continue with our story called Dust. And we got through to page 67. Now we're on 68. We're going to answer some of these short answer response questions. So it says, what evidence in the story helped you to know that the family would move to California even before Edwin's parents made their announcements? Describe how the events in the story support this inference. All right, so guys, when we're looking for evidence, okay, let's go back here a minute. Hold on. Hold on a minute. I gotta pause this a minute. All right, so let's go back up to the story because they're asking for evidence, and we need to take evidence from the story to support the idea that the family would move to California even before Edwin's parents made their announcement. As I read that to you yesterday, did you get the feeling that they might be going to California? That's what it's asking you. And how did you know that they might be going to California? All right, so let's look. We know from these first few paragraphs of how bad it is. The animals are dying. He can barely keep clothes on his children. They just don't have any money. And he had gone away to pick cotton in Arizona and came home with some money. And he was really happy about that. But then when we get here, Pa tells Ma that he earned way less than he had been promised. But at first he was really happy, but then he realized that he still needed more money and had no way of getting it. So let's look here. After Pa had been home for a few days, Edwin overheard his parents having a serious discussion. I just don't know if I can leave our home, Ma said, a note of grief in her voice. Well, what do we know must have been said right before that by Pa? It doesn't say it in the story, but for her to say this, and we know they're having a discussion, Pa must have said, Ma, we're probably going to have to leave home to get work. And so she's really sad about the idea. But Pa had heard there was work on a commercial farm in California where cotton, oranges, and other crops grew nearly year round. So that would mean year round work. So that's when we're first introduced to the idea that they might be moving to California. Ma doesn't like the idea at first, but we'll watch as she comes around, okay? So just the fact that Pa brought up that about the jobs at this commercial farm in California gives you the first inkling that they might be moving, okay? All right, so then down here, a little bit further, Edwin went into town to purchase some things for the home. Okay, he bought beans and flour. As he was waiting there, something bright and orange caught his eye. It was an advertisement on the shelf in front of him, a photograph of a glistening orange grove with the words Sunny California splashed across the top. Edwin had never seen an orange grove before. Studying the picture, Edwin's face brightened. Take it, Mr. Harburger said with a wink. At home, Edwin tacked the picture up next to his bed. One day, Edwin even caught his mother examining the photograph of the orange grove, smiling for the first time in a long time. All right, so we can see now that Edwin has seen a picture of this orange grove in California, and when he puts it up next to his bed, he catches his mom looking at it and smiling. Well, there's been no announcement made, but like our question says, what evidence in the story helped you know that the family would move to California even before Edwin's parents made their announcement. Well, this would be another one where he got the picture and he put it up and he saw that his mother was smiling at the photograph. Okay, so this one gives you a little hint also that they might be moving. Okay, all right, so we had one up in, let me see, I forgot where it was already. The first one was when they were having that discussion in paragraph 7, and Pa said that he had heard about that commercial farm that had jobs year round. So that was our first hint. This is our next hint. Okay, so we were in summer there, and now we're into autumn. Okay, so this tells us that it isn't happening overnight, the decision to go to California. They're thinking about it for several months, it looks like. All right, so when autumn arrived, Edward's parents learned the government was offering to buy starving livestock, that's cows, for slaughter. Most farmers knew their animals could not survive another winter, so they accepted the offer in exchange for some much needed cash. All right, and then Edwin's parents, after a long discussion, Edwin's parents did the same. And see, it says here, Edwin sensed a change was coming. Okay? So then Edwin goes out and sells his Nellie. I've got to take this off and it'll get rid of my marks, but you have been following along, I hope, and marking your paper as well. Okay, so the next hint, let's see. Oh no, okay. So those are the hints. We just had 3 hints. Okay, Pa had mentioned it in a discussion with Ma that there was that farm that had jobs year round, and here he put that picture up, and Mom was smiling at it. And then over here, they're selling their animals. Well, if they're selling their animals, he senses a change is coming because they're selling their animals. Okay, so and then comes the announcement. But those are the pieces of evidence that are there before the announcement is made that gives you a hint that they are going to go to California. Because in 13, they make the announcement and say, later that evening, Edwin's parents made an important announcement. They would be packing whatever would fit into their old automobile and moving to California. Then Edwin made his own announcement. Here, he said, handing his father the $16. We can buy fuel, which is gas, with this. So you see, they sensed it coming before this announcement. The announcement's made in 13, and we went to 3 different parts in the story before that gave evidence that the family that you knew, the family would move to California before that announcement. All right, I hope that helps you to write your response on number 6. You have all the tools to do that now, all the ideas to do that. And you just have to put those down here. We went over them, okay? All right. So if you need to stop the tape and do that and then move on to 7, then that's fine. All right, write a summary that includes the conflict in the story and how it is resolved. You use details from the story to support your answer. All right, number 7 says, write a summary that includes the conflict in the story and how it is resolved. Use details from the story to support your answer. Okay, well, there's a lot of different conflicts in stories, okay? There's actually several conflicts in this story, but the conflicts, and you will do a lot more with this when you get into middle school, but there's 4 different kinds of conflict. So one conflict is a person against another person. Okay, whoops. Person versus a person. So that would be like if people don't get along, and versus a person or against a person. Okay. Whoops. Oh, that was supposed to be an R. Oh dear. Person versus person. Another is person. Often they use the word man. Person versus nature. Okay, so nature is anything having to do with, nature. And in this particular story, we do have a conflict between person and nature. We have the dust storm, which is nature, and the conflict with the family, whether to stay in their home. Okay. And then there is another one, man versus society or person versus society. That one's not so much in here, but this one, person versus self, is also another conflict in here. Okay. And so you can pick one of these and write a summary versus self. Okay. So an example of person versus self in this story is mom. Mom doesn't want to leave her home, and she has to decide to do that, and it takes her a while. Oh, this is going to go away, I think, when I click this. I hope not, but no, it didn't. Oh, good. All right. So person versus self is when mom is trying to decide within her own mind that she needs to leave. She doesn't want to leave their home. They've been there for a long time. She doesn't want to leave, but she knows that she needs to go. So you can talk about that conflict. You can talk about the person versus nature, and just the problems that they're having in their lives because of this dust storm, the dust bowl. And, they can't feed their children, they can't feed their cattle. They don't have clothes, they don't have food. I mean, it's just a real strain on the parents. And so you can talk about that and just make sure that you pick evidence from the story to support that. And person versus person, there's a little bit in there between mom and dad. Mom wants to stay, dad wants to leave. But I really think the two main conflicts in this particular story is the family against nature, the dust storm, and person versus self, mom trying to decide to move. So, so the question, let's go back and make sure. Oh, hold on. Oh my goodness, I lost the, hold on 1 second. I gotta pause this. Where's my, okay, I had to get on my other computer to reread the question because I can't scroll down on this. All right, so it says, write a summary that includes the conflict in the story and how it is resolved. Use details from the story to support your answer. Okay, so I would pick either person versus nature, and person meaning the whole family, and what the people are doing, again, how dealing with this dust bowl storm and what it's doing to them and how it's disrupting their lives. Like we said, they don't have any food for money. I mean, any money for food. It's late, guys. All right. And then, or pick person versus self, where mom is having to come to terms with leaving her home. All right. I hope that helps for you to write that summary. And let's move on to number 8. And I think 8 will be the last for today. So let's take a look. Okay, guys, actually, I think we're going to stop there. We did 6 and 7, and tomorrow we'll do 8 and 9, and we will be done with this for the week then. All right, good luck with that. Let me know if you need any additional explanation or help with this. All right, see you tomorrow.